Okay, everyone needs to acknowledge the recording, say it's okay, and promise not to swear and all that. Okay. L'ultimo giorno di febbraio.
Rivaro, frivareddu, scoccia vecchio foculareddu. That's a Sicilian proverb. That means when it's February, it's cold, and we need to turn on the fire.
So l'ultimo giorno is the last day. Di febbraio means of February. So that's your Italian lesson from Nick today. Eleanora, take it away.
Frivaro, friva, again, do you want me to say it again?
No, anything you want to teach us.
That's a proverb, but
What?
From tomorrow on, I have another one. From tomorrow on, it's going to be March 1st, right?
Yes.
Ok. Marzo pazzerello, esce il sole e prendi l'ombrello. That's in Italian. You can see that sounds different from frivoreddu, scoccia vecchio focolareddu. That's a Sicilian dialect. So, Marzo pazzerello, crazy March. Esce il sole, the sun comes out, e prendi l'ombrello, and you take the umbrella because the weather is crazy.
Wow, well, okay, so that reminds me of our American expression, which we're not there yet. April showers bring May flowers.
So the rain in April means that in May we will have flowers, but that's not in Sicily. We have flowers now. May will be all dry.
Well, when we were there last April, there were still lots of flowers.
Oh yeah. In May it's gonna be almost done because it's too hot. But March, April, till the end of April, we have a lot of flowers. Yes.
In which months do we say in like a lion, out like a lamb? Is that March or April?
March.
March, yeah. There's another proverb for you.
So a way for everyone to participate is the meeting chat. And if you click on the little box in the bottom line that says chat, it'll open the chat log in your window. And Sherry Kanger says, nice to see you, Larry, which is true. It's good to have you back with us, Larry. And
thank you.
And she says to Eleanora, Anthony Constantino is a former student of mine. He will be traveling to Carlentini for the first time this June. So we have father and son. We have Tony and we have Anthony Constantino with us today. And Anthony, are you also in Omaha? You're muted if you're going to try responding.
Yeah. You don't have people here speaking Italian, right? Do I have to translate?
No.
I don't. Okay. Yeah, tonight I'm not in charge. Keep going. Ciao, Anthony.
Hi, Eleanora. No, I'm not in Omaha. I grew up in Omaha, but I now live in Los Angeles, California. But my dad, Tony Constantino, does live in Omaha. For those of you that are aware, my dad also owns Mangia Italiana, the Italian restaurant, Sicilian restaurant in Omaha, Nebraska. So, yeah. So yeah, thanks, Mrs. Kanger. I'll be going to Sicily in June for the first time, and wanted to see join this meeting and see if there's anybody that I can meet over there, or learn about the past of our family who comes from Carlentini as well. So
we know nothing about that. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll stay for the laughs and the good time anyway.
Kidding. Give me 3 seconds. W07. How far do you want to go? 1700?
I actually think, yeah, Mrs. Kanger was showing me the family tree that did go back that far, actually, which was pretty incredible.
Goodness. You're in the right place. Welcome.
Thank you.
We
So
found
there's so
information
many
on one
things-
side of the family, but we didn't find information about the Constantino side. It just ended. And thanks to Jim. Jim, thank you so much for all your archives of information.
So then I presume that, Jim, you have some of their ancestry in your tree?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We have to go find somebody to go look up and then see if they are there.
Okay, so
Tony,
I've
can you
made
post
so many promises about topics and research, and I just want to kind of rattle off a list of things that I remember that I promised people. Obviously, Constantino's, we want to try to do that, make that a priority because June will be here before we know it. Susan Finley is also planning a trip. Yours is a little sooner, right, Susan?
Right. I'm going to Italy for 2 weeks and then about 10 days. And Eleanora is going to help me in Carlentini. I can't wait.
So what are the dates again?
We're leaving May 8th. I believe we're arriving in Palermo, I think the 20th of May, then Taormina, Saragossa. Eleanora could not do it on the weekend, so I think on Sunday, the 22nd of May, I will ride back into Carlentini, and then I'm hoping Eleanora can help me on that Monday and Tuesday.
22nd and 23rd of May.
Right. And
So
then-
actually in my note, I have, in this moment, there is Danette Heim. I think she's not here tonight, but she joined us several times. She's arriving in Carlentini today, and she's spending a month and a half.
Wow.
And then, yeah, we will have Betty Libby. Is she here, Betty? She was very often in our meetings. She will be in April. In April, it will be even Carmelita for a month more or less with her husband, and Louise Vacanti as well. The lady who helps in Sons and Daughters of Italy for the meatballs and everything. I guess you know her. And then what else? So people in June, July, September. We have Mary Kay in June, for example. There is Maria Rosa and the family La Fata, the entire family, June and July. Sue, you will be here in May. So now I add the Anthony. Can you remind me when?
Rotella's will be there in August, September as well.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Rotella, August to September. Because I can forget. / September. Okay, so the family is growing.
It's incredible. This is
Eleanora,
wonderful.
See,
is Tom and
Diane.
Mary Morinelli coming in September?
Mary Morinelli. Yeah, I have under Mary. I add the Tom as well.
And
Tom
that's
and Mary
September.
Morinelli, 22nd of September, I will be with them. Yeah,
Okay.
CC.
You got that, Nick? Nick Gibelisco?
Sorry, what was that?
Mary and Tom Morinelli are going to be in Carlentini September 22nd.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell my mom.
They're meeting with Eleanora.
That's my mom's cousin, and Tom Morinelli is.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
We are all related. I think when I'm with you, I'm like, that's my family.
That's what I think.
And so I know that I've heard from Pat Todero. We want to do the Constantinos, but I think the first person on the list that I want to work with is Mary Kay, because she asked me this question under this email. And she says, I have 2 questions for the group. One, is there a way to calculate how many people from Carlentini travel to Omaha each year? So that's question number one. Question number two, also, do we know what the population of Carlentini was each year from 1900 to 1920? So
we shared that information. I have to go look for that.
yeah, I've
scheme
got the population information in a website here, which I'll put in the chat and I'll show on the screen. But
what I can tell you guys, according to what I'm studying, because I'm attending an interesting course about the tourism of roots. In this moment, according to the AIRE, that is the official anagrafe of Italian who are residents abroad. So AIRE means anagrafe Italiani residenti all'estero. We have 6 million of Italians who were born here with an Italian passport living abroad somewhere else. But we got as high as between 60 and 80 millions of descendants. So are people who are not maybe Italians because they don't have a passport, or maybe they have a passport but they are not part of this huge platform called AIRE, A-I-R-E, but they are Italians. They have Italian blood, and we consider obviously all of them, I mean the Italian government, and we talk about 80 millions of people. Almost 20 millions are just in the United States. Carlentini.
Mary Kay, does this chart help to answer the question about population?
Yes, because what I'm working on, I'm trying to write my grandparents' story. And I'm curious, like what, when they came over here and like, for example, I think it was 1910, like how many people left Carlentini at that same year? I don't know if there's any records.
The biggest influx was between the late 1800s into about 1915, 1920, and that's when half the town of 7,000 left. So 3,500 people left at that point. That's the only real figure we have.
The answer is inside of those shelves where there are the registers of the people who left, and they wrote where they went, and all the people who asked for a passport were planning to go abroad. But as you know, we haven't had access to those registers so far.
What's that registered called? What would that be?
Do you remember that day when we had Rino Di Mauro? He showed us his office, and that there was a shelf where he said, over there are all the people who left Carlentini, and our small registers, quite smaller, shorter, not smaller, shorter than the regular ones. And over there is the answer. So maybe if we will have the son of Pippo Filetti, when we will have Salvo around, we can ask him as well.
So Mary Kay,
ask Salvo about that.
Mary Kay.
Hey guys, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Ciao, Salvo.
If you want to ask me, I will definitely ask my dad about it. So
Mary Kay.
We should have some info, but I mean, they are not online. Just we need to go through the books.
Do you think that we could get someone to take photographs of the pages, just like we did with the cemetery?
Now, those are private documents, so I presume, but I guess I don't think it would be an issue for to take a picture of that. So we also need to get access to the main offices, and then ask for permission, and I'm sure you're going to be granted. But then you need someone, physically going to the office and take pictures. So
I'm there in June.
This is a part of This is part of the grant that we applied recently to digitalize the registers, and it takes time, volunteers. So there are still parts where we haven't arrived yet, let's say, as we say in Italian. We are really going faster than the light in the last years. If we think about all the registers that we have added and all the graves and all the family trees, thanks to Jim as well and Nick that we have added recently, we are miles farther more than 3 years ago, if you think about it. So obviously we need to go deeper. So Marika, you come and you help and we write the book together.
Just put that on the schedule when I'm there. Jim, what were you going to say, Jim? You had something?
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what the query is, but I've been capturing this stuff all along when I see stuff coming, in the manifest, ship manifest. I've been capturing that type of information there. And I've been capturing stuff from the census records too that say when people have come over. And this includes like people who've come over multiple times. They have come to America and then they went back, and then they come back to America and then they go back, and some people, so I have captured a lot of that. I don't know what the query would be, and I'm trying to work on that as I speak to find out, to get that kind of information for you. But off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but I know there's data out there to be mined. And there are lots of records that I haven't looked at that are still out there that don't have Carlentini necessarily as the place of origin, which is a pain in the neck, because you essentially you got to find somebody who came from Carlentini and then kind of look at all of the pages or the record, the names around them to capture all the rest of the people from Carlentini that showed up.
Yeah, sometimes it just says South, Italian South or Italy South on there.
Yeah, it does that, but there are, like I said, that if I find something where, especially off of the petition for naturalization, if you usually have a boat and a date, and you usually are able to find the people there, the person you're looking for, and around that person usually is a ton of other people, if not, relatives that have come over with them. So like I said, go ahead.
So you could go through the ship manifest of, like, I guess the people that came on the same ship as my grandparents and count how many. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's that, but then there were many ships, and I've seen it where people they literally just cross them off the list, and then you find a month later that they came across on a different ship a month or so later.
Okay.
So there is a lot of information out there, and I try to correlate it between the naturalization and the census records when it says people have come over.
Okay.
Sorry, I just asked my dad there, and he said that, there is for sure a register in Carlentini for all the people who apply for a passport. But that's obviously, so this obviously would be a starting point, because he said a lot of people that apply for a passport got the passport but went nowhere, or probably they went to Argentina, for example, So now the number of people apply between, it says here, between 1900 and 1940s, they went to the States. So we can exclude the people from went to Argentina. But again, it just will be probably a guesstimate rather than a proper figure. Now I'm thinking about whether actually we could use some. When you guys can use the API, we can write a little code and try to get information from your website you use to try to get the town of origin for those guys. You know, it's a bit more technical. So it's basically using some software to download some of the information directly from the website using an API code. But maybe the discussion we can have another time. But this will be another way.
Which site are you talking about?
No,
Can
that's
you
what
write
no,
it down, Salvo?
That's what I thought you say. I said, I mean, it depends on, are you guys using any website in particular that we can leverage? Again, I have no idea. Again, it's like, you know,
Well,
the
So,
It would be-
so the one that I'm sharing right now is ancestry.com, and I'm searching if it's called the New York arriving passenger and crew list.
okay. Does he have an API or something we can literally basically use the codes they're using and source some of the information? Maybe something we can do by writing a little code and access to this information.
Well, I mean, that seems like it should be possible, but we might have to actually go through the help desk to get to the point. I mean,
Okay.
what I've been trying to do is
So
Okay,
for example,
this is
for
the
Wikipedia, if not for Wikipedia, for example, it's open source. So you can, once you use you have the API, you can download information yourself. I don't know, obviously, how Ancestry website works. I can try to Google it and see if it is open source or not, and whether we can use the API to get the information.
I think it is open source because I have Googled it a bit myself to see if we could actually download data, but it's a little above my technical ability to do all of that. So if you want to look into it, that'd be fabulous.
We can use Python and things like that. Yes, if I had the time, yes, I could try to help you guys. But yes, we can use some coding language to download the info. Yeah.
If someone could post where that raw data is, I could see what I could do.
Where, Mary Kay, didn't you shared with me somebody, you know, one of your ancestors, essentially passport application or whatever, and he never really left the country.
Yes, he applied for one.
And where did you get that information from?
From his military record.
Okay.
That's on ancestry.com, and it's like my great uncle applied for a passport in 1906, but I don't see any record of him.
Yeah, I don't think he ever came across.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
When I put download raw data, it's telling me, you know, it's defaulting to the DNA. But here's an article that says about pasture lists.
Okay. Yes.
Doesn't really, it just gives you search tips.
But no, the thing is, Nick, you want to bypass that and get literally the raw data downloaded to whatever format you want, and then you can use it here. I think is it taking you to the default, you know, filter list that they provide? So should we go around it? I mean, let me. I cannot guarantee that I have the time to do it, but I might try and have a look. So if you maybe
if you get a minute or two to look at it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, if you can go maybe API Ancestry website and see whether, if you don't mind, while you are there.
Okay, so just
go to Google it. Just Google API yeah, perfect. And then the Ancestry website, whatever. See what's yeah, does Ancestry have an API? There it is. Get the question. Just go above. Okay. So someone asked the question, obviously. Please don't say website, but there is a list one that can seem to make use of the API. Come converse to a select family versus to okay. Doesn't just have a developer API, and also can I get access? Does have an answer that Nick? Sorry, if you just scroll down, I don't believe that my comments use the API. The state the answer is blog posting is not there to explode, not to explode. It has an external API that's used by our mobile apps in their region. So potentially there's an API we can use. Basically, we can literally go straight into their bypass basically the interface, the web, and gets to the data, I think. But I mean, I need to.
But on this stuff, doesn't it have to, you have to have the index has to be in English.
Okay, so I'm going to take
not
this.
really Italian.
I think I'm going to put, as we say in the US, table this conversation for a future date, or maybe for an offline.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely,
like
absolutely.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Because I'm not sure that we're appealing to the general audience here, but so Mary Kay, good question, and yeah, we really need to look into this more. So let's do this. Let's go.
FBI school needs to improve.
Yes. So we're going to search. We're going to search for. Come on. We're going to search for the Constantinos. So Anthony and Tony, give me the name of the original immigrant named Constantino. Well, let me first see. Did we put you in the tree? That's a good question before we get too far along here. Pre-search, because I think we've had a little bit of a chat in the past. Constantino. No, we just have an Althea Constantino. Yeah, who's married to Salvatore Nisi. So let's do this.
Yes, that's my dad's. That's my grandfather's sister, Althea.
Let's start here.
So
okay, so
Nick, my dad is also here. So he's going to be providing some information for us too. He's off camera.
Okay, so let's put your dad's name in here.
That's
what is your dad's first name?
Thomas.
Thomas. Constantino. And when was he born, just so we know?
October 25th, 1943.
43?
I think he's my brother's friend.
Thomas Anthony is me, January 10th, 71.
Okay, so let's start with you then. And so
Richard T, that's my dad.
That's your dad, okay. So let's save you to the tree. And we're going to add a new person. And 10th of January 71. And then we're going to add Richard T. So it's Richard Thomas.
Right.
And then we go to Richard and search on ancestry. And public records, Omaha 65-20, October 1943. That looks to be right. So we'll save that to Richard. What did you say was the actual day of birth?
25th.
25 October. Okay, save. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so your dad should show up in the 1950 census. So let's see if that actually appears. Okay, so here's Richard T's birth record. And it says that his father was Joseph R.
Correct.
Save. Okay, so then we add the father. Joseph R. And if we go to Joseph R, do we have an approximate year of birth for Joseph?
Know your dad's birthday? No, we're not sure.
How old was, any idea how old the father was at the time of the son's birth?
How old was Nanu when you were born? Roughly.
Is he like a Joseph Senior?
What? I'm sorry?
Is he like a Joseph Senior?
No. My grandfather was Joseph Richard. My dad was Richard Thomas.
Okay, so
my dad's grandfather was Thomas. What was your
we have a Joseph Richard in a family tree that says that he was born on the 9th of March, 1917 in Council Bluffs, that he died on the 13th of January, 1993 in Omaha.
That's right. He died in January. His birthday was March 9th. That's right.
Okay, so we have a picture of him here, courtesy of Julie Bartholomew or one of her associates.
That's my cousin.
Okay, so we're going to save this to the tree.
Tony, there's also a Diane K. Bouchel, I think is how it's pronounced, who's done extensive work on your family tree.
Bickle, that's my mom.
Okay. And that one is in the chat. I sent that in the chat so you can see.
Okay,
she was my babysitter.
Wait a minute. Did you say my mom's done extensive work?
It says the name is under Diane K. whatever that last name is. Sorry.
Bickle.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's done the work.
Did you have an Aunt Nancy?
Yes.
Maybe that's who it is.
And then there's a
Alfia, yes.
Rosa.
Yep, Aunt Rose.
Right.
Yep. Uncle Jim. Yep.
Jacob or Jack.
Yep.
Okay. So we're on the right track here.
I have a question for him.
Yes.
Did your dad ask him if he had a blue Pontiac Bonneville back in the mid-60s?
No, he had a blue 63 Grand Prix.
Okay, yeah. Your mother was my babysitter.
Oh, really?
My brother and your father were friends or are friends.
Oh, your brother's Joe.
Joe, yeah.
Yeah. Joe Todero's brother's on here. Pat
Okay, so according to the tree that we just imported, Thomas Constantino was born in Lentini, and
Pat, my dad says hi.
Hello, nice to see you.
There he is.
No.
Hi.
okay, so now we're into the actual Italian, but Thomas, of course, is not an Italian name. So let's look at the hints and see if there's any other also known as. There's a picture of Thomas. Thomas. You know, in my experience, Gaetanos became Toms. I think Sherry has a Gaetano that became a Tom.
Yes, me and Sarita.
Mm-hmm. But let's just go to the Portali Antonati real quick. This is Lentini, so we want that link. And we want the Nati. That's not N-A-U-G-H-T-Y, guys. Come on, get your minds out of the gutter. Nati, N-A-T-I. That means birth. And so we got to go back and find Thomas here in all these open windows. 1868 is the year we need. Expand 1868.
Very likely to be Gaetano, though.
Tonight we're getting
we have several.
Research is pure.
For sure it's going to be Tommaso.
Ciao Laura, io non mi sono accorta
No.
che sei tu.
Ciao.
Infatti lo stavo traducendo.
Sto scherzando.
Siamo nella genealogia pura.
Tommaso, non ci sono adesso, figurati 150 anni fa.
Tommaso would have been an exotic name probably at that time.
While you're looking for those info, we are planning with Laura, who is here, to visit the schools in Omaha next August. I will be in Omaha from July 20th till August maybe 15th.
Did you buy the ticket, Eleanora?
I bought my ticket to New York, Catania, but I haven't bought the
domestic flights. Okay.
Domestic
no,
flights.
because I was
But
checking. I was checking
Laura,
for the international.
She's planning to come to see Santa Lucia. She's the vice principal of the school Carlo V, and to visit the school.
275.
275.
Okay, Gaetano Constantino.
They're too busy.
Okay.
Troppo concentrati a tagliare Gaetano.
This spelling is a little bit different than the way you guys spell it now. It's Constantino.
No,
it's just the writing. It's just the handwriting was more.
Yeah, the S is done in an elegant way.
But they have the N here.
Yeah, you're right. Constantino. Here in Italy is Costantino.
Exactly.
Without this N. Who put that N over there?
All right.
Okay, how many N do you want? I want 3. Okay, let's put one in the middle.
Maybe this was a sort of an Americanization process as well, right? It was close to constant.
Costa, Consta.
Constantino.
I don't know.
Grandfather was actually Constantino.
So I've come up with this practice, folks, of when I'm looking at the index, because I will soon leave the index, I write Nashita 275-1868. And then I have it there for reference, and it's also a good way to cite your source. Okay, so then we go over here, and so that's number 275. So we need to, we do this here.
I usually pop up a new window.
Oh, is that how you do it?
Yeah, I usually keep that thing up there and then pop up a new window.
Okay, well, that's brilliant as well.
Well,
so I'm copying and pasting that address that we were at. And how about that? So
hey, Nick, is that showing a province on the far right? Is that showing the province of wherever they were from? What are those letters?
Far right? You mean the far left?
The far right of the Antonati, page 2, page 124, the one that you got the information from. That far right after the, oh, there you are. Yeah, what is that?
Where?
I can't see.
This here?
Yeah.
Number.
That's the page number you're on.
That's just the page number. So we're on page 124 of 126.
No,
So
I'm looking at
when
something
you,
different.
when you click on this thumbnail view, or the Galleria, as they call it, it'll have it highlighted in blue, the page that we were on. is page 124. We want to get to record number 275. And so when you
Wow.
click on one of these,
You're gonna have to.
Mamma mia, questi sono geroglifici.
that's 235.
Not too bad.
Not too
And it
bad.
looks
No,
like
Not too
non è
bad.
così male.
Hey,
Not too bad, I would
Hey.
say.
1, 2, 3. 3 per page. So to
roughly.
get to
Okay.
275, that's 40. So 3 and
Another
40 would
10
go
or 10 or
13
12
times.
days.
So you can either add 84 to 13, which would be 97, which that's probably the fastest way to get there. And go back to your Galleria and go to 97. And then as soon as it loads, you look for number 275. And numero di ordine
273.
73, so we're pretty darn close.
Very good. Excellent.
275. And
Now you get the free
okay, so
stuff
it says atto di nascita di Gaetano Costantino, figlio di
Vincenzo
Vincenzo e di Alfia Marventano.
Marventano should be.
Marventano, okay.
Hey, Marventano. Oh, very good. Oh.
Sì, sì, io ti ascolto.
So that,
Okay, so add mother is Alfia.
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 Nick, come on.
No. Sì.
Great stuff.
Ecco, Alfio, che
Yeah.
non si tira, it doesn't turn his head. Alfio and Alfia doesn't exist.
But Nick had too much vacation.
It's like a Nicholas,
that's
I go like a Nicholas. No, it's not Nicholas, it's Nicholas.
Vincenzo.
Too much holiday. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so Vincenzo is the padre,
No,
Vincenzo Costantino.
it starts with an I.
Okay, so this is where the real work begins, gentlemen. Where we'll
And
probably have to
ladies.
take it offline, but basically what you need to do now is go into that record and look at the details of when Vincenzo was born and when Alfia was born.
You can give them some hints, Nick.
Quindi
Okay, we'll do that. And so it says, this is all the
mamma mia.
mayor stuff. E comparso Vincenzo Costantino di anni
25.
That
di
is usually the
professione bilico
Dilligo.
domiciliato su or in. I think it's in questa
In.
community. Strada
Questo
Santa
comune.
Maria
In
la
questo
Cava.
comune.
Comune.
So,
Okay,
so your family was neighbors with my family, Costantinos, because I have Osinos that, or Osinos, sorry, Osinos that
Ossino.
lived
25 di professione.
that lived on Strada Santa Maria la Cava.
Santa Maria la Cava.
Santa Maria la
Napoli.
Cava è
A Napoli.
Badia.
Dove?
A Badia.
A
the
Lentini,
Abbey?
tra Lentini e
Lentini.
Carlentini, no?
E
Badia
Lentini,
is
Santa
an
Maria la
abbey.
Cava.
so for
Okay,
the
so-
first hint is the comparso. And that's
So
usually,
is the father.
usually the
usually.
father.
He was
And then it
25.
had and he was age 25.
Which is about 1843. And I don't know if it said where. I'm going to leave that blank for right
No,
now.
I don't.
No, però se Santa Maria la Cava should be Lentini.
Sì, quello sì.
See,
Sì.
see,
You can
most
get-
likely, But you won't know for sure until you see the marriage record of the couple.
Or you go back to 1843 and look up to see what his birth record is.
Yes.
Eleonora,
But
scusami,
on those-
è il nome della chiesa di Sant'Alfio, per Arlentini.
Ah, ok.
Perché la chiesa di Sant'Alfio in realtà è la chiesa madre di Sant'Alfio o chiesa Santa Maria la Cava. Era.
Ah, ok, ok.
Ho controllato.
Giusy,
Yeah.
she said
Now it
that
says he lived on
was
Santa Maria la Cava, il quale, or the same, has presented, ha presentato un maschio, a male, secondo.
Yeah, that is important too. The because how did you pronounce that? The one word Mazzio. That's important because if it was a daughter, it would be Felicia or something.
Feminina.
Yeah.
Femmina.
Yeah. This is how you know it's either a boy or a girl.
Okay, and it says,
Maschio
secondo
generale.
che abbiamo ocularmente, or in other words, they presented the baby to us. And then we go
And
to
he
the
was the
next.
second born, or maschio secondo.
No,
could be
that's just
according to. Secondo could be according to as well.
Well,
so it depends on.
If he was a twin, it would mention that in there.
Well,
Yeah.
we should see the entire sentence. Non l'ho letta fino alla fine. La frase secondo può essere secondogenito, secondo, tipo secondo cui, according, no? Vediamo.
So anyway, I don't think it's a twin because the following one is Orazio Crisci.
Crisci, figlio di Cirino.
Yeah. We can go back and look at the previous one as well. But anyway.
Yeah, I have had trouble deciphering. I know exactly what you're talking about, Eleanor, and I've always had trouble deciphering that particular sentence.
Sì.
Okay, so it says dichiarato di lei stessa è nato da. Is that Lucia, maybe? But then it says Alfia here, so I don't know.
And her
Should be Louisa.
Louisa, it looks like to me.
Luisa, Alfia, it's a strange name. Di solito.
Yeah, I think it's just Alfia because it in the previous one it just said Alfia. See this little thing here just says Alfia. So I'm not sure what that is, that little.
Alfia Marventano.
So this
anyway,
is the recording of the birth record, right?
Right.
Yes.
Sua moglie, which is his wife, di anni 22,
Sì.
which is 22, di condizione plebea.
Plebeo is belonging to lower class.
Lower class. Domiciliato con esso.
Ma oggi quando si fanno gli atti di nascita si
Domiciliata.
scrivono
Domiciliata con esso.
Oggi quando si fanno gli atti di nascita si scrivono anche le professioni o lo stato sociale dei genitori? Non si fa più.
Dichiarante nel giorno 28. So they told me that on the day 28
October.
Anno corretto.
Vista però questa cosa. Tipo scrivere
ore 20. So that's at 8 o'clock at night. Doing nella casa de detto dichiarante.
In the house of the one declaring this.
The one declaring this. Yeah. So in their home. In the Santa Maria la
I was
Cava.
wondering, I think that nowadays when we have an act of birth, we don't specify, let's say, the social class of the parents or their job. I don't think so. We don't do that anymore.
I don't remember.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes they give the occupation, but I think,
Yeah, you get the usually you do the occupation. At least here in Ireland, it's the same. It's the same. But it is 1862, so there is no privacy rules here. So
did you get was his birthday really October?
For Anthony and Tony, I'm going to put this record. Well, actually, I'm doing the second page of the record as a link, so that you guys can copy that link onto your computers and go back and look at that at a later date if you want to. But okay, so let me just go back to the share for a second, because the key piece of information that was on that was the age of the mother, di anni 22. So we go back over here, and Althea is 22 years prior to 68, which would be 1846. So we put in about. Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't know why that didn't do Sicily. Sicilia.
I usually put like a comma.
Yeah.
And then it fixes everything.
Yeah, there we go.
I think that you know more in the United States about people from Carlentini than in Carlentini itself.
That's for sure.
Sono più carlentinesi negli Stati Uniti che non Carlentini stesso.
Okay, so the other thing that, you know, is kind of more of a personal preference. Like, my grandfather was always known as Richard, but his birth name was Sebastiano. So I put him in as Richard Sebastiano, and I'm going to do that with your ancestor, Constantinos. I'm going to call him Thomas Gaetano. And that's significant of the fact that his birth name was Gaetano, but in American records, he was Thomas. And there you have it. So the next step is to look for the marriage, and then also to look for additional births of this couple right here, Vincenzo and, how do you say that? Althea?
Althea. Instead of Althea.
Okay. So the way that you would do that is by determining their ages, and also, okay, so if we go to Vincenzo's profile, he was born about 1843. He had a son born about 1868. So he was 25 years old at the birth of his son, which it tells you right here on this little chart. He was 25. And so most likely he was married prior to 1868. So usually what we do is we go to we start in 1868, and a quick way to get there to the marriage records is to just click on the commune Lentini, and then it'll show you all the records for Lentini. And you can see we have birth, death, marriage support documents, or the Purticetti marriage, and also marriage matrimoniale legati is also support documents after unification. So you would,
he's the second son,
and you would go to 1868. Oh, he is the second son?
I think that's what we said from the notation.
No, that was not, that was, I don't, you know, that's something that I have yet to figure out, and Eleanora can figure that sentence out, and Juicy can figure out that sentence, because it isn't the second son.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I've narrowed it down to the matrimony for 1868, and there's 2 registers for that year. And you go to, most likely they won't be found in 1868. This becomes somewhat of a tedious process of having to look year by year until you find the marriage. I doubt very seriously we'll find it in 1868, maybe the year prior, or 5 years prior it could be. But you go to the very end, and then there's an index.
This part I have never understood how you go. Okay, you keep going.
You go up to the gallery. And then,
Ok, stavo spiegando ora come si fa a fare il calcolo preciso in quale pagina è la persona che uno cerca. Siccome ci sono 5897 pagine divise in 38 facciate qua, no, scusami, registro 5839 pagine di più.
and if you're lucky, they're alphabetized.
Io questa parte non l'ho capita che tipo di calcolo matematico fa.
You're real lucky they'll come into focus.
La divisione.
Fa una divisione per pagina in base a quante persone ci sono per pagina, credo 3 per pagina.
And unfortunately, they are alphabetical. And
Unfortunately?
No,
fortunately they are.
Infatti. Ok, fortunatamente sono in ordine alfabetico.
Cardillo,
commendatore. Oh, like my grandma, commendatore.
commendatore,
Cantarella,
Cosentina, Catania, Buona, Centamore,
Campagna. A big hi to the people Campagna in Omaha. It's a big family. Campagna.
Centamore. And then we're down to
Demma di Mauro, però.
Demma ce n'è ancora tanti. Anche l'allorafo.
Tomorrow. So we're in
Mauro.
the D's. So we've completed 1868. So why don't we take this one offline? I'll look and see if I can find their marriage record. And then what you would also need to do is go back to the birth records and start looking for other children of Vincenzo and Alfia. And then you start working down the tree to find their descendants until you get to living people. It's a little harder for Lentini because we don't have the extensive database for Lentini that we have for Carlentini.
È un po' più difficile per Lentini perché non ci sono i database stessi, quindi non hanno accesso a un sacco di informazioni. Invece mi chiedo, I was wondering to ask to Laura if the kids at school, they have more or less the same family names that we usually find. We used to find in our register, in our researches. Laura, quali sono i cognomi più comuni orientativamente a scuola elementare? Sono gli stessi nomi che troviamo noi?
Sì, sì.
Sempre, vero?
Sì, sì, sono molto, molto simili, molto... Per esempio Costantino e Costantino, no Constantino, con questa N non c'è.
We don't have the N in Carlentino, it's Costantino, but are very, very similar to the same names that we are looking for. Di Mauro, Campagna.
Sì, si ripetono tutti questi cognomi.
All of them, they keep repeating themselves forever.
Sì.
Okay.
Se ce n'è uno strano, tipo il mio, è perché non siamo proprio
If there is a strange one like mine, capo di casa, is because we are not from there and they will immediately understand.
Siamo stranieri dal suolo di Carlentino.
We are strangers, alien.
That's fun. On the other side of our family, there's two came over, Aletta and Maloney. And they actually came through Ellis Island, and their names are on the same page of the registry in Ellis Island, but they didn't know each other, and they were both coming to Omaha. and then they were married in Omaha, and that's my grandfather. That's the mother. So we went Constantino. That's the father's side, but on the mother's side, it was Aletta and Maloney. So interesting story there.
Quindi Areta Melone,
Milone,
with the
da-
I, Melone with the
Milone
I,
con la E finale.
alla
qua,
fine però
Carlentini.
loro pronunciano Meloni.
E con la E finale. Milone,
Milone.
qui a Carlentini.
Sì, in Carlentini sono Milone.
Okay, so I know that Joseph Gregory had asked for something very similar last week. I don't know if he's still with us. Joseph, are you there?
I didn't know if we had time today, but you could always put me next week if you have, you know.
Well, you were here
open,
faithfully last week, and I have others on the list, but since you were here last week and you're here again this week, I'm increasing your priority.
Okay. All right.
So let's go back and see what we have. I think, didn't we do a little bit on yours? I can't remember.
I know that Jim did.
Jim did. That's what it was. Okay.
Thank you,
so
Jim.
You bet.
Let me bring up Jim's tree and I'll add that information to my tree so I can share it with people. What's going on here?
I mean, I guess I'm the out of towner, so to speak.
What?
Don't worry.
You're in Omaha, aren't you?
No, I mean the Sicilian one, Sicily wise.
Oh. No, that just makes it a little more of a challenge. But fortunately, everything kind of looks the same.
Okay, so here we go. And let's go to the end because I know that Jim copied me on.
And then after Joseph, is there someone here is coming soon and you're still looking for something? I don't know. Larry, for example.
Well, I'm coming to Palermo end of April, but I'm not coming to Carlentini this time.
I know.
But I will write to you.
Improving our local economy.
Yeah. Well, I've been to Carlentini many times, but I've never visited the home of my mother's family.
Corleone, your wife's origins, right?
My mother, my
okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's
my
true.
mother was a Cardella, and la famiglia Cardella è di Corleone.
E tu sai tutto dove andare a trovare tutto? You know everything, I mean, names.
Yes, but I don't have any family connection there now. I do know family in Carlentini. That's why I've never been to Corleone, but I want to see it. I don't know if I'll find any family there, but I still want to visit the town.
Okay.
And of course I'm going to do some touring on the west side of Sicily where I've never been.
Okay.
So I'll be around Palermo for a few days, and then Corleone, and then down to see the Valley of the Monuments and so forth. But I will contact you to see if you said that you have a friend in.
Sì, I gave you.
Yeah, you sent me the names of.
Don't do like a man who arrived in Corleone and he arrived in a cafe, in a restaurant, and he asked to the owner of the restaurant, I have a family here. I have those numbers. Can you call them? And then the owner called the first. Look, there is your cousin here. No, tell him I'm on the beach.
Right.
The second, hey, there is your cousin here. No, tell him I'm in the mountains. So the guy arrived and he said, look, everybody said that he's not here in town. That guy said to the owner, okay, from this moment on, I have no more cousins in Corleone. You will be my only cousin. And that guy was Al Pacino.
Right.
Before getting popular, becoming like a
Oh, really? His family was from Corleone,
And
Pacino.
this is a true story.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Everybody was busy. Quella arrivò a Corleone, tutti erano impegnati, aveva 2 numeri di telefono in croce e li fa all'oste dell'unico ristorante aperto. Dice, questi sono i miei cugini, ci chiami a questo numero? Dice, no, quale cugini? Io sogno a mare, dici che sogno in montagna, dici che non ci sogno. Alla fine quello ci fa all'oste. Allora, visto che tutti questi miei cugini non sono disponibili, per me io avrò oggi solo un cugino qua a Corleone che sei tu. E quindi, ed era Al Pacino. Oggi penso che sta gente si mangia le mani.
Esatto.
All this information I'm seeing visually here is correct. So you give me the basic information and I go on and research it from there. Is that how we do it?
Well, it's one of those things that you know, you can be the fisherman, and we can teach you how to fish, or you know, you can pay somebody to fish for you, or you can just try to carve out, you know, a few minutes in each of these meetings for what little we can do to help you.
Okay. Well, I was surprised with the ancestry because when we talked to the person last week, the genealogist, she wasn't too hot about ancestry.com, and I thought that might be not as good as people say. So it's amazing how quickly we can get information.
Well, there's so many databases on Ancestry that are so well laid out and organized that I use it quite a bit. I also use Family Search as more of a backup, but yeah, I was a little disappointed that she was so negative about Ancestry.
So then it would be good to get a subscription maybe for a year or two to an Ancestry.
I think if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna put time in on this on a regular basis, you know, it's expensive, so you got to get your money's worth out of it.
So my $1 million question was, I collect the data. How do you find living relatives in the town? I appreciate what Ms. Formica said about the guy going in town saying, hey, I got relatives here.
I'm Eleanora. You can call me Eleanora. It's fine.
Okay, so the key for the Degregorios is Rocco and Caterina.
Right.
I think the original spelling did not have an H, but I could be wrong. So looking for the birth record of Santo in 1878 would be kind of a first step to verify.
Well, my son went there just about 10 years ago, and because he was interested in the dual citizenship, and he went to the town hall, and they said the records were destroyed. Either there was a revolution or there was a fire. So I didn't know, you know, what happened. What do you do when that happens? Do they
Well,
make
first of all, let's test that.
All right.
Statement. I believe.
Thank you.
I may have searched this before, but and you're going to have to help me with the spellings. Pietra, right? P-I-E-T-R-A-P.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Perzia.
Right. It's right there.
Right there. Okay.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I passed by several times. It looks like safe. Like
so it looks like there's quite a few records available. The question is, are they available for 1878 when Santo was born?
Well, is Petra related to rock? Was it a rocky area?
Pietra?
Perzia. Pietra Perzia is not far from Piazza Armerina. We are really in the center of the island.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
it has a beautiful landscape because it follows perfectly the shape of the hill, means sculptured in the stone. So if you look at the city, you will see all the streets parallel and perpendicular, like when you play the chess. Is it correct to say? And it goes like a waves. It's beautiful, but everybody left from that city. For example, in Syracuse, the most professional and best bus company that we use for our tours. For example, when the group was here last summer, is Zuccalà. And the family Zuccalà, they moved to Syracuse in the 60s from Pietraperzia. And they are originally from there, I'm sorry. And they said that little by little, everybody started leaving because in that area, if I'm not wrong, they used to work with the sulfur mines. So when this business was abandoned, and obviously agriculture, wheat mostly, the Pietraperzia still today, nowadays, is surrounded by beautiful fields with the wheat, harvest with wheat. And little by little, people started living.
Well, my grandmother used to say, if you're bad, we're going to send you to the salt mines in Sicily.
No way. This was a bad punishment, worse than the basement. Yeah, I can understand. Sicilian mother can be pretty direct, let's say. Yeah, terrifying the kids, that's a method for them.
So Joe, it looks like the records are there.
All right. Very good. Well, I'll have to see what my son was talking about.
Degregorio, it says Gregorio.
Huh.
Gregorio Santo di. I'm not sure what that is.
Degregorio is a Carlentini, usually.
The thing that you have to remember too is if it's Degregorio, that if you're looking it up under Degregorio, it may not be there. It may be here with the DE or DI in front of it, in the G. It's kind of weird, but you know, if once you get used to it, you start looking here and there and everywhere for these guys. The other thing too, Nick, in this registry, I think it was the marriage records were not complete as far as all of the years, and I'm not sure where you go for the marriage records.
Well, maybe those are the ones that got burnt. But typically you go to the Ufficio Anagrafe or Stato Civile, and you can write to them via email in most cases. And let's see here. So
we had a Degregorio family reunion in Lentini last August, but that was the family of Donny, the guy who owns the place called Copacabana in Omaha. His family is Degregorio in Lentini.
Wow.
Yeah, and when he came, we met.
Copacabana is the cigar bar, right?
Si.
I was there. Not for smoking.
Well,
not my place.
If you like cigars.
Not my place. I was just reaching some friends with the Creighton, remember? But because it's so full. Once you walk in, then you smell like a cigar for days.
Yeah. We don't have those places in Italy anymore.
No, at all.
The last time I went into one of those places, I had to burn my clothes. I got
was
rid
afraid
of them.
for my hair.
To burn your clothes?
Yeah, I just reeked of like
Come
cigarette or
on,
some.
you don't. I can give you.
I
can
threw
advise
I
you
threw
some
them
good
away.
soap.
I couldn't wash it out. The smell was just there.
Oh,
Forever.
Nick.
But you know, it is definitely more pleasant outside. They have a sort of a fireplace, and you can sit outside. It was December, and I was sitting outdoor, so it was a bit better.
Joe, do you not a copy from the chat log?
I do not.
Okay, do you know how to open the chat log? Oh. Let me set this
Yes,
down
it's
real-
open.
Okay, I just put a link in there,
Okay.
and if you just, I don't know if you're on a PC or
I'm
a
on an
Mac.
iMac.
but well, maybe I'll just email it to you. How's that sound?
That sounds great. Thank you.
I'll put it in this. I'll put it in the same email chain with Jim. Reply to all. And this is a link to the Nashita 123-1878.
Well, thank you for the generosity. Appreciate it.
Sure. So as far as, where do you take it from here? The answer is similar to what I was saying before.
How were you recording these things before?
Excuse me?
Joseph, how were you recording these things before when you were finding the information?
I had just gotten bits and pieces of information through what my son got. So I have things on paper.
Okay.
This is the first time I've used computer to do anything.
Okay. Yeah, there
Is
are.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was confusing him with the previous father and son. If you have a local family history center near you, you're in Omaha, Joe?
Correct.
Okay, so they have volunteers at the Family History Center, which will show you how to work with family search, which would be a good way maybe for you to record some of this information.
Okay, very good.
And
You can ask Marianne Sofaio for the libraries. Here she is. Trish, she left, but Marianne, she's
right. Historical Society. Go down to the Historical Society and they'll look up documents for you, Joseph.
Thanks, Marianne.
My goodness, I found my great-grandfather original document when he got naturalized. Was so emotional because it wasn't supposed to do it, but I had the chance to touch his signature. And that page, he touched it. So it was like so emotional. Marianne was there. Beautiful.
one of our members, Bob Hughes, has worked with people individually in the past. And I don't know if you've received one of our spreadsheets with all of the contact information on it. I'm about to send it out again because Bob just updated it. But he maintains our spreadsheet, but he might be willing to meet you at either the Family History Center, the Historical Society, or the Omaha Public Library, if any of those things appeal to you. So
what was
Bob's
Bob's last name?
Hughes, Hughes.
Thank you.
And Joseph,
Yes.
the person at the Historical Society Archives is Natalie.
Natalie?
Natalie, and you can call her to make an appointment and she'll have the records ready for you.
Douglas, you're talking about Douglas County.
Correct, over on 30th and 4th Street.
Okay, great.
Metropolitan Community College.
Right down the street from me. Thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so
this is one-stop shopping.
Yeah, we got it all.
Can I ask Mary Ann one more question?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, Jim.
I have been contacted by a fella who's up in the middle of Montana, who's looking for some records, some orphanage records for you know, his grandparents or his grandmother and her sister. Would they have those at the Historical Society then?
Give them a call and find out. I am not familiar with, you know, all of the archives. Just kind of, I'm more into the tours of the city. But
okay.
Again, talk to Natalie and see if they have orphan records there.
Okay, that's where I kind of sent him to, and since he's out in Montana, he probably sent him an email. But I haven't talked to him since then. So it's been a few days.
Oh, days is not long though, so you know, it might take him a little longer just to respond.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Good, Jim.
Thank you.
I'm sharing on
So
our
Juicy,
chat.
since you're, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, before we leave, seeing that there are a lot of people planning to come pretty soon to Italy and Sicily, in our chat, I just shared the website www.italia.it. And when you open it, you go up to the really top on the right corner. There are 3 little lines. You will find the languages. It's going to be Italian.
Okay, so that's in our Facebook chat, just to clarify.
And you can find a lot of interesting, let's say, topics about little villages and main topic like cycle tourism, about genealogical researches. That's what we shared today. And we shared the 2 guides about genealogical researches. And you will find the one with Sicily as well. I think so, isn't it? Let me share. No, I think I have this information. I'm going to write it. Recently, they wrote a beautiful book about the tourism of roots, genealogical researches. So that's what we do. And this is copy and paste. You can download the books for free. You will find it on our chat now. www.raicitaliana.it, and you will find the 2 books, 2 guides, travel guides. One about volume 1 for those who have origins from Puglia, Basilicata, Abruzzo, and Emilia-Romagna. Volume 2, Sicily, Calabria, Molise, and Lombardia. I guess they will keep going. There are nice videos as well. This is the result of a huge research in Italy between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the universities, the Minister of the Instruction, and people who are researching, genealogists as well. They're helping, and they are finding a lot of interesting info. So I hope one day to be able to add our info in this big platform as well. This will be very helpful. And you will find everything on our chat. And if you need help just to find, I don't know, if you need drivers or to rent a car, just a B&B or connection, just let me know and maybe I can help. I can share my connections for those who are not aware. I mean, the first time that we meet each other, like Anthony, I'm a tour guide, so I can help under this point of view. I've worked for almost 20 years. I know I look pretty young. That's Sicilian DNA, good DNA. But I started that I was 18, I'm 37. You're welcome. So just write me down what you need. If I can help, I will do it with huge pleasure. And I'm always so happy to know that people are coming to Sicily to visit the homeland. So it's, I always say, welcome back home. See, and then
so Joe, I was trying to tell what this name is, and I think it's Rocco, but that doesn't really look like an R to me, but I think it's Rocco.
Looks that way.
No, it is definitely Rocco.
Uh-huh.
That yes, yeah. The script, you just have to get used to it after a while. The R's kind of look like B's and vice versa, but then that is definitely ROCCO.
It says he was born on the 1st of April, which, what do we have? Yes, 1st of April, 1878. So, so the next step is, I added Rocco's age, is to find their marriage. But Jim, you say the marriage was not.
Well, go look at the thing there. I'm not. There is a big gap in the marriage records.
Okay, so
If
we go to 1878, well, let's just look at the dates that are available. Yes, there is a gap between 95 and 01. There's another gap between 95 and 89. Another gap between 89 and 58. So that's problematic for your time period there, Joe, because your guy was born in 78 and there's a big gap between 58 and 89. So they may have lost the civil records, and so you may be stuck looking at church records, and it varies by community. We have Family Search is the other site that we work with. Sometimes they have church records that have been digitized. Sometimes they don't.
Okay.
So the way to tell is to go to the catalog for Family Search and put in the place name. PGA from in the Anna. Oh, it's also called Naseta. That's interesting. But you said Anna, so let's stick with Anna for now.
Nowadays.
Yeah, Petra Perché è provincia di Enna, vicino Piazza Armerina. Sì, noi ci andiamo sempre vicino when we go to the Villa Romana del Casale. Ciao Sherry.
Bye, Sherry.
So you may be in luck there, Joe, because it says civil registration, which is what we've been looking at, but it also says church records.
Okay.
So let's see what that is. Registry Ecclesiastici, which is the church registers from 1639 to 1929.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a lot. Piazza Armerina, that's from where our friend Paolo Campagna comes from, the genealogies that you found, Nick.
Yeah.
It looks like there's two parishes there.
Right. Got Maria Santissima della Stella and Santa Maria Maggiore are the two parishes. So that adds a degree of difficulty because you got to kind of figure out where. But if we go back to the link, let me get the link. Where did I put it? Yeah, I put it in my email. Copy link. So share, paste the link, paste and go. Okay, so now we're back to that birth record for Santo. So this one isn't, this isn't old form. The old form have the baptismal information on them as well.
Mhm.
This doesn't have it. So
Wow.
that's did and. Well, it's just a matter of, you know,
Right.
hunt and peck at this point.
It's not that bad. I mean, Piazza Armerina did a great job, and all of them, they are available. There is the little camera as you like.
Yes.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I will do more research on it. One thing is my grandfather did open a restaurant in Waltham, Massachusetts called Rudolph Valentino's in the 1940s. And it was unsuccessful. He didn't really know how to manage the business, but they
I wonder
said
why they chose the name of Valentino. Maybe they like
because of the
pieces.
movie star.
Exactly. That time.
And they
Rodolfo
said, nah,
Valentino.
Americans won't like pizza, only Italians. Now every place we go, there's pizza. My wife is from Iowa, and you go to the restaurant there, and it shows the covered wagons going across the prairie in the pizza place. And I said, see, they had pizza in the West.
Well, it's kind of interesting looking at what they actually have in the way of marriage records. They don't appear to be comprehensive for the period that we want. As far as just the straight matrimony, you can see that the most recent is 1724, it looks like. But then they have what are called the allegati, which are those are the support documents for the marriage.
Wow.
They're really difficult to search unless you know the exact date of the marriage. But let's just take a quick look and see what they have. So maybe there's an index, but I doubt it. Usually they're not, these are not indexed.
Wow. So literally you would have to go through one by one.
Yeah.
And look how they're written in a good way.
Yeah, these are written well, but they're in Latin as opposed to Italian.
Always more harder. Always harder.
The handwriting is clearer, but it looks like Latin here.
Nos Naverius Gerbino Epus Platien.
We need an old altar boy.
I flunked Latin at Creighton.
Professoressa.
No, I mean it can be done, but I mean we need more time. It's
well, I had a 9 in Latin, but I don't remember anything. I studied Latin for 5 years.
But it's just the first lines, because then it
Iam means these.
You know,
archidioceses prima.
You know, our friend, didn't you say our friend Paolo is from Piazza Armerina?
See, I'm communicating with Paolo in those days because I'm applying for a new grant about the tourism of roots. And in the boarding team, we need a genealogist from Sicily, but we can have partners even from United States. So in the next days, I will bother you, asking you if you want to become partners to be added in the big platform that is the big website that you that you will find in the chat. They are doing a great job, because the idea is to help people traveling in Italy, looking for their families, their ancestors, to have travel designers, tour guides, tour leaders, and genealogists helping them. And then when they will be in the territory, they will receive a passport through which they can apply for discounts to, let's say, let them feel cuddled. That's what the Italian government want to do, to involve them to come back again. So I'm applying for a grant to create a boarding team to teach to other tour guides, to teach to other people how to deal with people like us, like you. And I had the same experience, but the opposite. So I went to Omaha looking for my great-grandfather story. So I found out where he used to live, where was his house. I found the registers. So I know what you feel when you come back home, even if you have never been here. You have never been here. So we need tour guides, and people working in the field of tourism usually are not that flexible. They go like from 8 to 9, from 11 to 12, pa. So we are different. We need more time, more flexibility. We don't care if it requires 2 hours more to drive a little bit farther. If we don't find that house that belonged to our family immediately, maybe we needed to take 2-3 more hours and keep looking for, because we are there for that reason. And our little details that sometimes they don't understand how important is. I personally knock to every single door, but other tour guides forget it. They will never do that, or they will never lead the people in the cemeteries. They will never facilitate genealogical researches, like inside the Ufficio Anagrafe and Stato Civile, where they have all the registers. And even worse, they will never facilitate the communication with the relatives who are still alive. If it's time to go to lunch and the family is inviting those people, a regular tour guide goes like, okay, thank you, bye. My 4 hours, they have been expired and I have to go back home. No, you have to stay there and facilitate the communication. They don't speak Italian, they don't speak English. And it has happened to me several times. It's a different tourism, it's completely different. And I can talk for hours about that. So this is what I'm doing. Shut up.
Well, this is wonderful. And the document that you shared with us in the chat this morning was an eye-opener to me, to see what a beautiful job that that has been done.
We're not alone.
Yeah.
We're not well, this group maybe doesn't exist. All the people that I'm meeting, at least in Italy, I went to the Farnesina last week in Rome, 2 weeks ago, and I met all the top of the hierarchy, let's say. And when I said everybody, hey, we have a Zoom meeting every week where we talk about genealogical researches, they were shocked. They were like, do you do that for free? I was like, of course we do. They were shocked, as out of the world. I was like, why? We have so much fun. Well, so we are the strange ones.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to switch gears to Patrick. Patrick, I know you had some questions, and I guess I'll pull up my screen and go back to the email that we recently shared.
Well, the dates, I was looking for some dates, but Sherry helped me, and so did Connie Martel. Find a couple of those dates I was missing, but I was wondering if we could try to find some information about my grandparents on my father's side. My maternal grandmother, Rose Piccolo, I have info back that you helped me with, back 6 generations, back to like the 1700s.
Okay, so Rosa.
So I'm okay there, but my grandfather, I just go back to just to my great grandparents, his parents, but no further back.
What's the name?
My grandfather's name is Biagio Giuseppe Todero, but I don't know if Biagio is his middle name or his first name. I thought it was his middle name. So it's probably just Giuseppe Biagio Todero. And I also found out
we have a birth record for him dated 1889.
Yes, okay. And then his father was Sebastiano and his mother Maria Carlentini.
That's right.
And then I don't think we were able to go back any farther on his line. Yep, and they died before I was born.
Okay, so you're just trying to get it back further? Is that the plan?
If that's possible.
Okay, so he was born in Carlentini, so we should have him from Jim's tree. Let's see if that is attached. View. So Jim is my source.
Now, is it Biagio Giuseppe or Giuseppe Biagio? I always thought it was Giuseppe Biagio.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where under his birth record, it may be Biagio, but he may have preferred to go by Giuseppe.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing in Mexico.
If there is no comma, they were obliged to put the signature with the entire name. So when you get married, when you sign an important official document in the notary or wherever, they will say the entire name. But obviously, if it's an informal thing, they could even avoid to put the second name, but here I think there is no comma. So there is the entire name.
So usually Jim has more information, but in this case, he doesn't have more information about Sebastiano. So we need to go back to what we had on Biagio, or Giuseppe, I guess he was known as.
Yeah, in Omaha, he went by Joe.
Go to tree.
And I think it says Giuseppe on his gravestone.
Yeah, I believe you're right. So anyway, he was born in 1889, and we have that his father was age 31, that they lived in the house at Via Porta Siracusa, number 121, and his mother was Maria Carlentini. So does Jim have any other siblings? No, just the one.
And I don't know if he did or not.
So
yeah, it's like this one. It looks like I got some information from the petition for naturalization, but haven't done any other work on this.
Okay.
You know, it's like, you know, you got it. It isn't that I don't want to do it. It's just that I haven't gotten to it yet.
Totally understandable.
Okay, so what I would suggest we do is look at that record, make sure we're gleaning everything out of it to start with. And so
you're talking about the birth record?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You're absolutely correct. That's where I would start.
1889.
Because it came from a petition for naturalization, which is, you know, a little bit better than hearsay.
And we said it's number 35. So that would be about page 12 or thereabouts. $30. So go 2 more pages.
So what was the number? That was 35, you said?
Yes, here it is.
There it is.
Okay, so it is Biagio Giuseppe on the birth record. And so it looks like we have everything that was on that record.
3 February. Okay, his father is Sebastiano.
Right.
And how old
Age
is his father?
31. Which we'd already made note of that, I think, on his birth record here. So
okay, so that's
so we can look for Sebastiano's birth record, but I think it would be better to look for Sebastiano's marriage record to Maria Carlentini first.
I don't know. That, you know, usually
it might be easier to find this one, the birth. Let's do that. We'll look for the birth.
Yeah, because you know, it depends on how old Maria is, Maria Carlentini.
Right.
Because if she is less than 20 years old, then yeah, I would probably start looking for marriage records.
But it doesn't give her age, so we don't know.
Yeah, that is exactly correct.
So we're going to look at the first register for that year.
Did it give his age?
Yeah, it gave his age is 31.
Okay,
So,
it says that she was born in 2 years after her. So she was 29 and he was 31.
When you look at these thumbnails, there's a pattern that you're looking for, because you can see that these are all kind of supplemental records. And the index, you can see how it's filled with writing. This is the index page right here. Just years of looking at them, you learn that. But
yeah, so yeah, he was born in February, where most likely he was born in 1857, but we can look in 1858.
I thought we said, oh yeah, my math's wrong. Sorry. I was thinking I had 1869, so that's wrong. It should be 1859.
Okay.
Yeah, or
1858. But since he was born early in the year, it could be 1857 too.
Okay, well, let's start with 1858.
Sure, wherever you want to start.
18, okay, we need to get rid of 69 and go to 58. 58 is here. 2 registers. Look at the register. Find the index. Okay, there's the index, but he's going to be towards the end because of the T's.
Well, that's if it's alphabetical.
If it's alphabetical, yes. And that's Piccolo, all the P's are together, and the S's are together, and the T's. Turcos, we know Turcos. Sebastiano
Hey, there it is.
Todero.
You talk about putting it in a convenient location.
And W07 shoots again.
Well, I'm going to say 171. What do you think?
So what year? 58?
1858.
So
But-
if you're
but it's
not sure, you click on this little lines here and it'll tell you down below.
October-
1858.
The
And
top
so-
line is my
October
relative.
19th. Excuse me?
So that Sebastian Turk on top's one of my relatives.
Really?
Okay.
So you said October something?
I think it's October.
Yeah,
OTT.
19 OTT with the E up here is an abbreviation for Octubre, which is
Octubre.
October.
Okay.
So this is
19
where,
October
so this,
171.
yeah,
So-
so this is where you make your note in the record before you start writing everything down to actually validate that this is the guy you're looking for.
So it was
The sheet 171 1 date
58.
58,
Yep, Carlentini.
and we said 19 October.
Yep.
Oops.
wow.
And what else did I say? Giuseppe and Lucia Scalora.
Yeah. Why don't we go back to the record first? Can we do that?
Let me just make a note of it. And
Okay. All right.
Who are they?
That's his parents.
Oh, okay. So we're going back farther there now. Okay.
Yeah. It's,
the only thing that I would want to do is also find the marriage just to verify that the Sebastiana Todero that married Maria Carlentini is also the son of Giuseppe and Lucia Scalora.
yes.
Because sometimes there can be multiple Sebastianos.
Yeah, every other generation is Sebastiano.
Yeah. So
So
now we go to the record 171. And these take, like, each one of these is one record per image. So we'll probably be down on image number 173 or thereabouts, maybe a little further down. Let's try 175.
What are we looking for?
We're looking for number 171.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's Sessantissimo, which Sessanta is 60.
yeah, and the other column it says
Secondo is-
162.
Yeah, right over here makes it real easy.
Easier to read too.
We're not too far. I mean, we're not too
close.
far away, but we need to go 9 more images. So I'm just going to click 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's what I would do.
And you have
170.
to click 1 more. Or 171.
Yeah.
And comparso is the key word we're looking for. Comparso is the person who appeared was Giuseppe Todero. Di anni 25. So he was 25 years old. And he presented a masculine, or a male, rather. And so in this column, you have the atto di nascita, or the act of birth. And in this column, you have the indication of the day in which was administered the sacrament of baptism.
Baptism, okay.
And these are old form. These are,
Really old, yeah.
yeah, I mean, they're after unification, but they're still using the old forms. And so you got to go to the next page to get the name of the mother and the actual date of birth. And lo stesso è nato di Lucia Scalora, sua
legittima moglie.
moglie, di anni 24 or 24. Domiciliati ivi, which means here or with him.
Maybe it was, maybe the address was already reported somewhere else.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't know why, but they do it down below here.
It is usually just before the date of birth. There is, what are you looking for?
The actual address where the child was born.
Oh.
No, it doesn't actually give his address that I've seen so far.
No.
But the child was Sebastiano. And so one of the things that's kind of cool that I figured out that you can do here recently is you can copy that link and then you can go to your profile page on Ancestry and add a web link. And
yeah, that was one of the improvements they did on the website.
Yeah. And so the name for this link would be Nashita 171-1858, which is the number of the atto and the year. And sometimes I put a name, like this is Sebastiano. So then you should be able to click on that and it should pop up the record we were just looking at.
Now on my own, I can go from there back farther?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you should be able. I mean, before you go further though, I think you need to
zoom in a little bit there. Okay, so his dad was 25. So 25 minus 58 is about
32.
I guess so.
33.
33.
Okay. And so we got, okay, so on that record too, and what was his mother's name again?
Lucia Scalora.
Oh, Lucia Scalora.
Scalora.
Was the dad's name Giuseppe?
Giuseppe Scalora, yeah.
Yeah, just like the grandson.
And he
that's
was
where
25,
we started at, so. Big EL.
Yeah, Giuseppe.
3-3. And did it say he was Nato a Carlentini? No, it didn't say.
About 1933.
Save. And then you add the mother, Lucia Scalora. Was it Scolara?
It's a Scalora, I think. It was hard to tell.
Flip to the next page.
It's a Scolara or Scalora?
No, it's Scalora. A first and then O.
Scalora.
Okay. A-L-O. Okay. Okay. So now, if Giuseppe was actually the first child named after the grandfather, that makes it a little easier to find the marriage.
Okay.
I should help you now.
Yeah. So we go over here and go back to the records of Carlentini.
No.
And we look for the matrimony. And the matrimony for the year, when was the child born? 1889?
Yes.
1889. Was it early in the year?
Let's see.
February. So the earliest we'd want to look would be 1888.
Yeah, February 3rd.
Spandi, 1888. These are usually a little easier because there's fewer marriages than there are births. You can see there's only 34 images.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking for the T's. And he is not there. There's a Tuberto. No, that's
No.
wrong. That's a P. Okay, so where?
Huberto.
No.
There it is.
Umberto might be.
Sebastiano.
No, that's
And Di Carlentini.
Todero, Sebastiano.
Is that it? No, that isn't it.
Todero.
Thank you.
Di Concetta.
Concetto. So that would not be it.
No.
Concetto.
Okay, so where are we? Go over
Got
here
it.
and look. 1888. So now you got to go back a year to 1887. So you bring up this little expanded year thing, 1887. And while we're doing this, Juicy, what is the status of the translation of your book, Verita?
Well, it's more than a half.
Oh, okay.
More than a half now, but the new one is about to be, it will be out in 20 days. It would be a big deal, but it is in Italian.
Oh. So the English translation is being done by who?
By Professor Maria Teresa. Maybe you know her. Because she was involved in the Omaha Carlentini thing from the beginning, I guess, right, Eleanora? And her name, so she's Italian, she's from Catania originally. Maria Teresa Maenza, she was a Italian professor to Creighton University. So she holds that position and she has just retired.
Well, that's good.
Yes, it is. And she's supported by another Italo-American writer, and she's Anna Monardo, but she's Calabrese, still, and lives in Omaha, and she was a professor. No, she's still a professor at Nebraska University.
Well, this is not real promising here, Pat.
Okay. That's
Because
pretty
I'm
far
back
back.
to 1886. And I haven't found it so far.
Maybe they were a teen marriage.
Here's a Troia, Tribulato Tringali. Tribulato.
And
This is Vecchio here, so We're gonna have to go back another year, 1885.
Maybe they got married very young.
It makes me think that
if they were close, what was that, 31 years and 29?
Yes.
Mhm.
So yeah, if it's older than 20, then it could be anywhere in between.
Could be anywhere.
Yeah, this one doesn't even have any T's in the year. So it's the last image. Where were we? '85. So no. Yeah, if they're older, I mean, typically. Guys
Yeah, if
get
it's
married.
okay, I can probably go on there and stick around till I find it or don't.
No,
Yeah.
it should be in there someplace, you know.
84,
Yeah,
83.
you probably don't want to go too much more. Okay, so if Sebastiano was born in 1858, so 1878 would he be 20? You probably don't want to go much earlier than
78.
No.
75. 75 maybe?
Yeah.
74.
76.
Excuse me?
75 or 76. You know.
Yeah, that
I don't
I'd say 75 would be as far back as you'd want to look.
He'd be pretty young.
Yeah. But it most likely will be there sometime between, 75 and what we were looking at, 84. So you just have to go year by year until you find it. And you're looking for this couple right here, Sebastiano Todero and Maria Carlentini.
Named after the city.
And then those marriage records will have the names of the parents of both spouses.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll confirm whether we have Sebastiano's parents right, which are Giuseppe and Lucia.
Okay, well, that gives
So
me
look and see
something.
what you can find. And then if you find it, let me know and save the link and email it to me so I can add it to the tree.
Okay,
Or
thank you
the
so
date
much.
or the year and the record number, like
Okay,
matrimonial number, whatever it is.
okay, and I appreciate all your help, everybody. It's got
You're
one
welcome.
more. We went back one more than I
Yeah,
had
we
before.
keep chipping away.
So Scalora, I had never heard that name before. So it's interesting because my brother's daughter named her daughter Lucia, and I know she has no idea that she's got a, let's see,
Okay.
great
The
grandmother.
scalora is a type of vegetable that we use a lot during the winter time. It's very good, like spinaches. So
Okay.
maybe it comes from the plants word, the botanical name.
So yeah, so my niece doesn't know that her daughter's named after her great grandmother.
You know what? I think I found the link, and I found Giuseppe and Scalori's record.
Oh.
And
Sebastiano and Maria Carlentini.
And Maria Carlentini, but he was married before that or after that to Carmela Costanzo.
Uh-oh.
So you're related to, no, the Constantino,
To
not
George Costanza?
Yeah, George Costanza. There you go.
Yeah, so I guess you just
Seinfeld.
gotta, yeah, you just gotta go work your way back. I don't have their marriage record for Giuseppe and Lucia. So we'll have to take a look at that. Yep.
All right. Well, we've gone well past our time. It's quite late in Italy. So
That's because tomorrow I'm not working.
oh, good.
All right.
So happy.
No,
Enjoy your-
it's not good to know that. No.
Juicy, you will work. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm working on at the grant in those days, but actually I'm not leading a group tomorrow.
So you can oversleep, huh?
Sleep in.
Yes.
Well, thank
You
you, everybody.
betcha. As Tim says,
And
you
Anthony, feel
betcha.
free if you got questions to email me during the course of the week. And, you know, while I'm watching another one of my crime shows, I will be doing the 007 as.
Thank you for considering us, even if you're busy.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. This is it was great to watch along, and I've been doing my own little research on the side here. So it's been great to watch how it's done. So thank you.
Tell your parents
Yeah.
hello from me.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome, Joe.
You got a lot.
Yeah, Joe, if you got any questions, just, you know.
Thanks, Jim.
You got.
Thank you.
Do explore. Proud of you, Anthony, for researching while you're listening. That's great.
Yeah, trying to.
It's not easy.
No.
But yeah, I've been at this over 30 years, so, and Jim too. I know he's been at it a long time.
Well, appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Let's
everyone.
get started. Can't stop.
Ciao, grazie.
Grazie.
Ciao a tutti.
Buonanotte a tutti.
Buonanotte.
Buonanotte. Goodbye.